I want to know how the hell people in Canada are even living. I generally consider myself a positive person. I'm like resourceful, but some stuff happened around the property and like, well, I know I'll never truly be homeless. Like, I have family to live with. And, you know, like, I have options. Like, I'm luckier than a lot of other people, but how the hell is anyone existing in Canada? Like, I feel trapped.
I can't function anymore. I don't understand how I make $34 an hour and I can't function. I can't function. I can't pay my bills. I can't even literally keep gas in my car to get to work 3 days a week. I buy a loaf of rye bread and I work really hard to keep that one loaf of rye bread lasting me the whole week, and I eat peanut butter. So I'll eat peanut butter toast whenever I'm hungry. And it's been...
I'm here for almost 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Apart from getting food from the Good Samaritans and clothing, I'm feeling so sad. But I sleep on the street. It rains, but we call upon everybody to guide us, to help us, to have where to sleep.
We know that our shelter is full. We also know that a third of the residents in shelter right now are refugees.
Are you proud to be Canadian? And then
I was.
Yeah, so like what happened, you think?
Yeah.
What do you think happened, bro?
It's not Canada anymore. Look around.
Yeah.
Look around. It's just not. I'm all for immigration. My mom wasn't born here. I'm sure your parents weren't born here, or someone's grandparents. Irish.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. My child's half Korean. His mother was born in Korea. Like, I'm definitely not like everyone should be born here and that's how it is. But if you're going to come here like how people used to come here and want to become Canadian. What's happening here is everyone is coming here so quickly that they can't even adapt, that they do what they know, and then they start imposing how they live where they're from.
I'm going to be the one to say it because I don't care, but the housing crisis in Canada is disgusting, especially in Toronto. I can't believe that we live in a first world country and there's people here waiting to get access to a shelter, not housing. When I say shelter, I'm not talking about housing or housing units. I'm talking about a shelter, like a homeless shelter, okay? If you go on Google right now and you type in free things to do in Toronto, they're going to say, oh, why don't you walk Allen Gardens? If you walk Allen Gardens, there are communities there of people who are homeless living in tents.
LGBTQ refugees fleeing violence in Africa are left sleeping on Canada's streets. We're here outside of the City of Toronto Referral and Assessment Centre. That's where refugee claimants come from all over the world just to get settled and get shelter space. But for dozens of African migrants specifically arriving to the City of Toronto, they're being shut out of shelters and being forced to sleep outside.
I chose Canada, but unfortunately, I'm here for almost 2 weeks. I feel so sad. We expected at least people of Canada, the central government, whatever it's called, to welcome us.
Some of the African migrants have been forced to sleep outside this building for up to a month.
The cost of living in Canada is sick. There is no more cost of living. There is only cost of surviving. My girlfriend and I met for coffees the other day and she owes a little bit of money to the government and she was crying to me, saying, I don't know what to do. I'm working 3 jobs. I'm a single mother. Like, I can't afford to live here anymore. So she had a call with the CRA and the CRA ripped her apart. They said, it is unacceptable that you have not maxed out your credit cards to pay us. It is not acceptable that you are paying $1,000 a month in groceries for yourself and your 3 children. You need to cut back.
Can you tell us a little bit what it means for you to be here today?
For me, it means to be able to help those people on board, welcome them.
But before we rush to judgment, let's get some context here so we can understand what's really going on.
The baby boomer population, which for so long made up the largest quotient of Canadians, now represents less than a quarter of the population, and that the number of people age 85 and up will triple by the year 2046. When we look at other data, it shows that millennials are expected to outnumber baby boomers in just 7 years. By the end of the decade, by 2029, there will be more millennials than baby boomers, and that Generation X has never been and will never be the largest segment of the population in this country. Statistics Canada says that generation had a very low birth rate when it came to having kids and that kind of thing. So they will actually never reach that number of being the largest segment of the Canadian population. This is also the first time Statistics Canada kept gender-based data, finding that less than 0.5% of Canadians at this point identify as either transgender or non-binary. Reporting live, Momin Qureshi, City News.
You just heard that, Canadians? It means that you're not having enough jigginess in the bedroom.
The rate of children born per woman in Canada in 2022 dwindled to 1 1/3, the lowest recorded in more than a century. 10 out of 13 provinces and territories saw their total fertility rate reach a record low. The drop in 2022 is the second largest, only behind the baby bust that followed the 1946-1965 baby boom. In the last few years, there has been a bit of a seesaw effect. At the beginning of the pandemic, demographers say many people delayed their plans to start a family. As concerns eased in 2021, there was a slight bump in the number of births across the country. But then the rate declined again. It's hard to tell from the numbers why this is happening. Statistics Canada's Claudine Provencher suggests the sheer cost associated with having kids could be one factor.
It could be related to the economy, for sure. The inflation maybe too. We know that younger generations are hit harder in terms of having a stability in their job or even getting a job, being able to pay their rent.
Another possibility is that women are generally waiting longer to have children. As a result, some women might not have multiple pregnancies.
We know that fertility goes down more dramatically after 35 years, even more after 40 years. So the longer you wait, the less you can have another child because biologically it's more complicated.
Population growth can happen in two ways: immigration and births. Experts say when governments adopt more family-oriented policies like flexible and generous parental leave, people tend to have more children. Catherine Ward, Global News, Toronto.
Canadians, especially white Canadians, you realize you're not having enough fun in the bedroom? You realize that the Asians are getting jiggy with it?
One day we can have a Muslim majority nation here in Canada, right in your face.
We have Canadian law here, and you say that you want Sharia law to displace Canadian law. That doesn't sound very respectful.
In majority, you wouldn't have any other option. Go to your queen and tell her to change the laws.
Change the laws to what, sir? To Sharia law?
No, change the laws to not allow any more Muslims to come to Canada. We owe our allegiance and our loyalty first and foremost to our religion, not to the queen, to be honest. When I went for my so-called oath, I was silent, I didn't say anything. It was your responsibility to make sure you got it out of me.
So the Supreme Court of Canada has made it damn clear now. You cannot avoid child support, even if you haven't paid it for years. The courts will go backwards and order people to pay child support for all the years that they didn't pay it or underpaid it.
Do you have a deadbeat ex who just refuses to pay their child support and is nothing being done about it? Let's talk about the 10 different repercussions that are supposed to be enforced when you don't pay your child support. The first one is being in contempt of court. The second one is fines on top of what you owe in back child support. The third one is garnishment of wages. Now this includes unemployment and workers' compensation. The problem with this one is deadbeats go around the system and work under the table to hide income. The next one is denial of your tax refund and having it sent directly to the other parent who is owed the child support. Next repercussion is revocation of passport. No more traveling, bud. Next one would be suspension of licenses. This includes drivers, hunting, fishing, boating, professional. You could have a lien placed on your property if you have any. Number 8 would be a warrant for your arrest. 9th repercussion is incarceration. You could go to jail for not paying your child support.
So if the family law is so rigid, why would I want to have children in Canada?
international students contribute over $22.3 billion per year to the Canadian economy, greater than exports of auto parts, lumber, or aircraft. International graduates are also a source of key talent to help support Canada's future economic growth and counteract the country's aging demographic. But the sheer volume of people going through this revolving door of post-secondary education, look at how enrollment just blasted off into outer space at these colleges in Ontario. In some cases, 30, 40-fold increases over a pretty short period of time.
Canada is expensive, that's true. You have to pay a lot of taxes, and that is true as well. Canada is the second largest country in the world with only 38 million people. The economy of Canada is highly dependent on immigrants. So it's really normal to control this beautiful country. People need to work hard and need to pay high taxes. It all depends on where you're coming from. A lot of people escape war, anxiety and stress, civil war or poverty, and some of them just escaping the low quality of life. Canada in return offers you opportunity to work, make a lot of money, pay a lot of taxes, and live a high quality and a good life. So it all depends how do you compare your current status to your future status.
Canada cannot survive without India. 642,000 Indians came to Canada through the students program last year, and 543,000 Indians came through the temporary foreign worker program in the last 2 years. Canada exports $5.56 billion worth of goods to India every year. India exports $3.8 billion worth of goods every year. Canadian pension funds have invested $32 billion in India. Both Canada and India have a huge stake in each other.
Can you imagine that? People, can you imagine that?
I'm being aggressive to you because too many Indians are in Canada.
The largest population increase in 66 years, a staggering sudden jump.
We are growing at about 4 times the historic rate.
In the same year the country's population crossed the 40 million mark, the additional number of people living here between July and September is up by more than 430,000. The majority of newcomers aren't permanent residents yet.
I would argue, given that the situation we're currently in, I would go as far as to say that the federal government has lost control of these inflows.
Among those coming, foreign students, temporary foreign workers, and migrants. Many more people competing for social programs, jobs, health care, and housing.
If you're living in an immigrant community where you need to compete for rental housing or for jobs with the newcomers, then it's much less clear what the benefits are.
Earlier this month, the federal housing minister acknowledged it might be necessary to change the rules.
We do need to continue to look at reforms to our temporary residency programs. We've seen a significant increase in the numbers of the international student program.
In Toronto and elsewhere, the population increase has put upward pressure on the cost of rent, for example. Canada's housing supply falling behind the growing demand as those without permanent status arrive on temporary permits with a hope to stay.
Do you want more? Do you want some more?
This is for anyone thinking of moving to Canada. Our food prices are outrageous. Here we have a pack of drumsticks from Costco, $202 for this pack, or $224 for this one. Moral of the story, don't move here.
Canada offers incredible benefits for refugees. Let's break it down. First, let's talk about healthcare. Refugees can get emergency and medical services. Then there's housing assistance. The government helps them find temporary places to stay and permanent homes. As for education, refugee children can go to school for free, and adults can take language classes to improve their English or French. There's also financial help to cover basic needs while they settle in, and students may get a free bus pass. For job support, there are counseling and training programs available. You will never go hungry as there are food banks where you can pick up non-perishable food. If you're a refugee with kids, you could be getting monthly cash to help with expenses called child benefits. The amount depends on your income and how many kids you have. If you are a part of LGBT or other communities, you could access programs that provide free winter clothing as it gets cold in Canada. Canada has an amazing resource for refugees, furniture banks. These organizations collect gently used furniture and household items, then distribute them to newcomers in need. Refugees can reach out to local settlement agencies. Ontario's legal aid system provides free legal assistance for refugees facing complex issues like refugee claims and immigration hearings.
What is the biggest thing you regret in life?
I regret in life? I regret coming to Canada because if I had stayed in the Caribbean, I would have been way better. I came to Canada. I worked, I don't know, maybe 20 years. I had to go back to my country. 7 years, living here for 20 years, 7 years in my country, give me enough money to buy 2 properties in Canada cash. 7 years, 7, and 20 years you're just paying rent and nothing. It tells me Canada is just a trap. I own property and it's hard for me. So imagine people who are from different countries for the first year and you're wasting your time, you're going to stress out, you're going to go crazy and you're going to die in less than 10 years when in your country, which would have been harder, you live for another 40, 50 years. No matter how bad it is in your country, it's only going to get worse here. I'm telling you the truth. I travel the world and live a good life, all kind of stuff. The idea of Canada is to get out of Canada, not get in. And I've realized that between America and Canada, the people who are living back in their country are living better than us who are living over here.
Don't come to Canada if you are stable back home. It's not worth it. It's just a fleece. It's a mirage. And that's the truth. Some of us are here because we've decided to come. For example, coming to Canada as a consultant psychiatrist, I had my hospital, I had the money, I had my driver, I had everything working. I had 3 vehicles. I had built a house and I was living in a duplex. But why did I come? Some of us, we looked at it and we said, you know what? For the sake of my children. Canada doesn't program you to work and enjoy your work. The master that is paying you is saying, I'm paying you to get this job done. Salaries in Nigeria is better, you understand? Because I can be making an equivalent of $1,000 in Nigerian naira. The amount that I'm going to spend out of that $1,000 to get my house, rent, everything may just be about 300 or 400. I have opportunity to save like 500 from my salary. But you can't try that here in Canada. You have to cut your coat according to your clothes in Canada. Because your rent, many things are competing. So it's like they give and they take. The system will take it away from you, from parking lots, from the toll gate. There are a lot of systemic discrimination that you won't see it as a form of discrimination because it's already systematized. It's already part of the system. They won't put it in your face. We call it systemic discrimination. It's quite huge, but it's hidden under laws, organizational rules and co. But you will know that it's deeply hidden. But they won't put it and shove it to your face.
Let's take a look at a very depressing visual for aspiring homeowners here in Canada. This chart does an amazing job highlighting the fact that house prices are flying while our incomes are not. The gap is increasing and it is not sustainable. 10 years ago, the average house was around $350,000, meaning that the income needed to buy was between $70,000 to $88,000. Today, the average house is around $900,000, meaning that the minimum income is between $180,000 to $225,000. So within a span of 10 years, in order to purchase the average house in Canada or Ontario, your income has needed to go up by $110,000 to $137,000. Remember, in 10 years. I am scared for Gen Z. And this just shows it may be hard to buy today, but it may be impossible to buy in the future. So I recommend if you can buy with friends or family or pick up a side hustle that you do that. I really hope, look at this. I really hope this graph put things into perspective. And if
Somebody please tell me how the hell this small amount of stuff just came to $218. How? Somebody tell me. This was literally 3 bags of groceries. 3 bags. $218? Like, are you joking? Guys, this is not okay anymore. Like, we have a serious fucking problem here in Canada. Like, why? Why is this happening? This isn't even gonna last, not even 5 days. $200, $220, not even 4 to 5 days that's gonna last. And that's only for 2 people. Like this.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but you cannot survive in Canada on minimum wage. Yes, I said it. You cannot survive in Canada if you are earning like $2,000 a month. In fact, minimum wage, maybe $40,000 down in a month. You cannot survive in Canada, guys. I know a lot of people will come and say, oh, I'm on minimum wage. Please, if you're on minimum wage and you're surviving, tell me how you're surviving in the comment section. I would like to know, but I am telling you categorically, you cannot. Those people are struggling, they're in credit card debt and all. It's not a very funny life. You will regret ever coming to this country. That's why I keep saying, get skills. You do not need to, you can start with customer service and factory jobs. Yes, that's good. Uber driving, yes, that's good. But get skills. There are a lot of professional skills that are not so difficult that you could get, that will get you that 6-figure job and live that comfortable life.
The reality is extreme weather events are getting more and more expensive for Canadians, which is why we need to continue to lead on climate change while supporting Canadians.
Mr. Speaker, all of those things have happened with this carbon tax in place. This carbon tax has done nothing to reduce emissions, let alone to stop storms and other weather events. So that is nothing more than another act from this Prime Minister. Let's get back to the question. My question was very specific. We know now that a British Columbia family has to spend $1,200 a month on groceries just to feed their kids. He wants to raise the tax up to 61 cents a litre on the farmers and truckers who bring us our food. How much will that add to the grocery bill of an average family? How much?
I am so frustrated with our healthcare system in Canada that I just had to come on here and I had to make a post because this last week, my daughter was sick and we had to take her to emergency. And when we got there, there was maybe 10 or 12 people in the room and I'm thinking, okay, not bad. You know, we're going to be here maybe 5-6 hours. You're expecting to wait. I get it. People are busy. I'm in the healthcare profession. I can totally understand. So 5 hours goes by and we're still there and one person has been called in. One. Just one. And another 5 hours goes by and like 3 more people in these 5 hours has been called in. And there's a couple across from us and they're holding a toddler who's clearly extremely ill. And they're kind of, you know, shuffling him from person to person between themselves, trying to, calm him down and keep him from vomiting. And I'm looking at this and I'm just thinking, okay, we just went through triage. As a nurse, I know triage is supposed to take the sickest people first. And, I think that we should take young children in as well. My daughter is 7, so she was able to endure the wait for the first 5 hours. And above and beyond that, even she's getting agitated. Anyhow, this poor couple ended up getting called in at around the 12-hour mark. And I just thought to myself, my God, we're still sitting there at 12 hours, 14 hours. We waited 14 hours.
So I'm in Brampton. We sit down with these business leaders. They come in. The guy says, wake up in the morning, my car's stolen. Good news is I put an air tag in it. So I followed the air tag and it took me all the way to a rail yard. And he followed the app on his phone. He got to a shipping container that was on a train. And he said, well, there's my car. It's in that shipping container. Some authorities came running over. And he said, oh, thank God you're here. You can help me get my car out of that shipping container. And they said, no. You're not supposed to be here. We're charging you a fine. As he was being assessed the fine, the rail cars started moving. And they went to Montreal. Shipping container got on a boat and was shipped off to the Middle East. So he lost his car and paid a fine for trying to get it back. Another guy the same day told us he got up in the morning, his car was gone. So he called 911. And they said, well, we're not going to be there for a while because it's a very busy day. He's looked out the window. He said, they're back. They're stealing my second car. He says, well, I'm going to go out and get them. He said, no, don't do that. Well, then you come here now and stop them. They said, no, we've got so much going on today. It's going to be 45 minutes before we arrive. Just let them take the car.
To prevent the possibility of being attacked in your home, leave your fobs at your front door. Because they're breaking into your home to steal your car. They don't want anything else. A lot of them that they're arresting have guns on them, and they're not toy guns, they're real guns. They're loaded.
Nice.
A gun is being seized by officers here in Peel Region every 30 hours, an alarming statistic. And here's a look at some of the weapons that are in the hands of criminals here in the GTA.
These items aren't just sitting on a table. They represent a carjacking, a home invasion, armed robberies, and multiple firearms offenses that would have plagued the GTA and Peel Region.
5 people have been arrested, including 2 brothers and their 61-year-old mother, in what police allege was a trafficking ring involving guns and drugs. It all began as a basic traffic stop and then quickly became a full-blown investigation involving several locations in Brampton, a home in Waterloo, and a storage unit in Caledon.
The results of those search warrants were the seizure of 11 firearms, including assault rifles, handguns, and a submachine gun, which is displayed here. Approximately 900 rounds of ammunition.
Also seized during Project Sledgehammer were dozens of these devices called Glock selector switches.
That's a handgun?
Yeah, it's scary. And it turns a already dangerous thing in our community to an even more dangerous issue.
Too many immigrants. I'm all for immigration. This is crazy, but yo, I bet you if the government just said, hey guys, winter's coming, this is what to expect, half those immigrants wouldn't even come. I bet we're not even telling them the truth. Forget telling them about housing. We're not telling them about winter. We're not telling them that you got to dress up like a video game character. Bro, I went out here with like 10 different layers on this morning. I got my gloves, my scarf, my top layer, my base layer, my Under Armour layer, like every fucking layer possible. All for what? To go to like the park? This is crazy. No wonder most of them are already leaving.
Someone come take me back home. Wallahi guys, I'm talking for real. Wallahi billah, I'm talking for real. Someone come take me back home. Guys, look guys. Guys, wallahi boy, I can't even see the street. I can't even see where is my house. Look behind me. Please. Please, Asmara, come take me. Please. Please come someone take me. Please, guys. Guys, wallahi, boy, I'm tired of this weather, boy. I'm tired of Canada, boy. Atu bijakum. Atu bijakum. Canada's not sweet, my friend. Look where I am. Canada's not sweet. I swear to God, it's not sweet. You guys, you think it's sweet? It's not sweet. In winter, it's not sweet. Hawaii bijakum. Yo, please, sir, can you take me back home, please?
What?
Can you drive me home?
No, where do you live?
I live just down there. Please, I can't even see the street.
I know, you gotta walk backwards.
For years that immigration was out of control. They knew for years that asylum claims were out of control, and they knew for years that our border was broken. Right. None of what newly elected President Trump has been campaigning on was a secret. And the Prime Minister even threw that minister under the bus for his incompetence in immigration. If we're going to save Canadian jobs, we need a plan yesterday to fix the disorder at the border. So I'll ask again, where is the Canada First plan to keep our border safe?
Here, here. Speaker, we have learned from this government's own immigration documents that nearly 5 million people will have their temporary visas expire next year. The Minister of Immigration was asked for his plan in committee yesterday, but he had no plan. Can the Prime Minister correct his minister and tell us his plan to enforce and ensure that the nearly 5 million people that leave Canada when their visas expire next year?
As you watch the videos, you'll realize that the government is the main reason why Canada is in the position that it's in today.
It sickens me because of the fact that right now and for a long time, people have been in Africa, in the continent of Africa, siphoning all their resources, taking every single thing that they can. I'm talking everything, all minerals, all resources are coming out of Africa. It's the motherland. We all know that. And it's sad to see that when people come to our countries in the Western world and in Europe and in other places around the world and they're looking for help and they are suffering, all right, that they cannot get the basic necessities, not even the basic necessities. They don't even qualify for the basic, but yet you're in their countries, you're in their home, siphoning, taking by greedy means their resources. Come out of Africa. Just come out.
Today we're announcing that we will reduce the number of immigrants we bring in over the next 3 years, which will result in a pause in the population growth over the next 2 years.
No, 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 no.